Hello everyone, Zelleranth here, and for today's video we're going to be doing a retrospective on Taurus Cup now that the finals registration has started, as you can see here. And I like to try and do this with every single champions meeting to kind of discuss how things went through the entire process of building parents, to the aces, to the runs themselves, and how I can try and improve in the future. And kind of just the whole process in general. And so with Taurus Cup, as you know, I've been, this was one of my more difficult champions meetings to build for, quite difficult. One of the big reasons, and it's one of my biggest complaints with Trackblazer, is it's not really conducive for how I try and build my aces. Now, I really like Trackblazer for making parents, and I try to make, that was one of the biggest things that I was quite excited for it when it came out, and it's proven to be very good for parent runs, very relaxing as well in terms of the parent runs. While they do take a long time, and the RNG is a brutal when it comes to actually trying to get those really good parents, it is nice that like the white sparks, when you do hit them, they are generally overall better once you're able to make consistent SSs. But going into Taurus Cup, and it's just been kind of Trackblazer in general, aces have been a different story. One of the reasons I was able to make such strong aces in Unity Cup is through just doing tons and tons of runs. And so I did build just kind of your basic parents. They were okay-ish ones, nothing crazy, but they worked for what I needed in Trackblazer. And so going into the ace runs, one of the problems is you cannot just brute force that really good ace like you could do in other scenario like Unity Cup, and even in Grand Live we'll be able to do the same thing where you can push and in 5 minutes you know if your run's glue or not. While in Trackblazer it's much different, taking about 20 minutes, especially depending on how the run's going, just to get to that first inspiration. And if you get a good enough first inspiration, maybe you get your medium S, which is kind of the biggest thing I'm always looking for, or you get all your white sparks and the only thing you need is medium S, then it takes like another 20 minutes to push all the way to the second inspiration. And then if that one's a dud, you kill them there and you just wasted 40 minutes. If that one's good, then you got to do basically the hour long, finish the entire run, and then it comes down to the stats and maybe some last outstanding things like a support card finishing their chain so that you can get all the main skills. And with that, it has been very bad for me overall when it comes to building aces, because it's just, I cannot brute force it. I know like my strongest aces, I think my Summer Maruzensky, for example, on Leo Cup, took probably about 200 to 300 runs to do. But I did those 300, 200, and 300s in probably the course of a few days because I was just mass running. It was like a whole weekend of just constant runs. And they were getting glued quickly. Like, it's every 5 minutes and starting a new one. If that first inspiration, as soon as I got the good first inspiration, which for her was trying to get, of course, medium S groundwork and maybe 1 or 2 greens so that we're pretty set on her runs. That was a brutal one. Summer Maruzensky back then. This case, it was not quite as brutal of what I needed. I just needed mainly medium S, as well as then groundwork and then getting the stats. And man, did medium S not want to hit. Now I will say one of my good grandparents, because I have very few good grandparents, I've been grinding the crap out of them. I have really good great grandparents, but not really grandparents themselves, is a Maruzensky, which hurt the affinity overall. And so that was one thing that someone kind of mentioned might have been a little bit of my problem, because you can make some really god tier affinities in Trackblazer. Especially if they already have a good natural affinity, then plus all the G2s, G3s, and G1s common amongst all of them can really ramp up that affinity. She has lower natural affinity with pretty much most Umas, which may have hurt me a little bit on trying to get that medium S. And so overall, I could go 10, 20 runs without getting medium S once. And if you think that's 20 minutes just to get first inspiration, or if I got everything else, the second inspiration, you're looking at multiple days of, or a whole entire day or two of just no medium S. So no usable runs. And that has been the struggle with me on Trackblazer. So really right now going into the mile, luckily not as important in the mile. While I really would like to get mile S or turf S or both, less important. And if I get god tier and everything else, I think I could live with it without either of them. But they better be freaking god tier and everything else for me to live with something like that. But I think going into the future, I think one of the things, and this is how I'm improving over time. If you've watched a lot of my runs where I'm just doing non-stop great grandparent runs, I'm trying to build that good grandparent. And while it's kind of been brutal now, because I spent so much time and borrows trying to make that grandparent, when I eventually do hit, which it will happen at some point, I will be set to then just infinitely loop. Because right now I'm relying on borrows. I have one decent grandparent. Once I get that second one, no longer do I need to rely on borrows to just infinitely cycle runs to try and get new parents. That'll be more important in the future when we're doing parent runs in Grandmasters or Lark, where you can really ramp up the runs a lot quicker than Trackblazer. But even in Trackblazer, if I just want to spend a whole weekend running to make parents with my 2 really good ones, it's going to be so much better than having to rely on 5 borrows per day to try and make the parents. And then it took so long, it's like, man, I got a week left or a few days left to get my aces, and that's just use whatever my best parent I currently have is. And that just is what it is. So that is one reason why. I mean, some people say, why are you just always working on your great-grandparents/grandparents? And it's so I'm trying to future-proof myself. I know for a lot of people who aren't into the parents, that might be something you're going to look for when Grand Live drops. Because when Grand Live drops, we should get our first iteration of reroll, which then basically doubles the value of a Trackblazer roll run, because you're basically getting 2 attempts at getting good sparks. I mean, yeah, most of the time you're going to get 2 trash sparks, but if you think about it mathematically, it's basically, it takes an hour long to do a run, but since you're getting basically the equivalent of 2 runs out of it, you can kind of think of it like being a 30-minute run. So we're basically back to the time investment that it would have took on building parents in Unity Cup in that sense. So it'll be a little bit better then. I'll be doing a crap ton of grinding when that comes out too, and then eventually Grandmasters. If you're like me, Grandmasters will eventually have a lower affinity. Well, or you will be able to make parents in Grandmasters. You really can't in Grand Live. You'll have lower affinity than you do in Trackblazer, but it'll be much easier to make those parents. And there's a lot of opportunity to get a lot of better sparks in Grandmasters just through a lot of new cards that you can potentially use, because you don't have to worry about race bonus anymore, and so you can go more investing into just parent-specific cards for specific skills, specific gold skills, and just all around a lot better in general. And then eventually we will get an update that makes G1s all that matters when it comes to affinity, and then Trackblazer is completely dead when it comes to making parents, because you no longer care about those G2s and G3s. Now, kind of the last thing on the retrospective is going into the Taurus Cup runs themselves. Man, I got a big scare on that very first round 1 ticket with a 1 and 4. Kind of caused me to panic and just try and bum rush a new Ines Fujin. Never got one. I mean, I did it for like 2 days of just trying to get a better one. Biggest negative on my aces, which we could take a look at some of here, is just lower wit. I've been really struggling to... Well, that's a parent run. My biggest struggle was getting higher wit on them. It was always sub 1,000. I'd get some that would be closer. This was like the closest one to 1,000. But it always had something else that was missing in them. They always had something. This one's missing Killer Tunes. Has missing some other little things, but did have playtimes. Like, this one was an okay one in general. But the one that I'm actually using, and probably is truly the strongest one, I believe, is going to be this one. And that is because it pretty much got everything skill-wise. Its only real true negative is lower power than I'd like, and way lower wit than I'd like. I mean, wit's been the biggest negative. It's kind of a gamble on whether she takes advantage of the downhill big push-up. If she just low rolls that, then she just can get screwed. Kind of the same thing with my Mihono Bourbon. I built her. She was actually very quick. It was like the 3rd or 4th run I did a Mihono Bourbon, and I got max speed, max power, turf S, medium S. And while the wit's lower, she can power through a little bit to a certain extent to compensate for that. Not as good on the mid game, though. I mean, we don't even have any of the corner ones. We did get playtimes over in Slipstream, though. I didn't really think I had anything else. I took with all my soul. Not really the best skill there. But it was better to have that, in my opinion, over just double circling something like front runner straightaways. She's very, very strong. She actually deals better with the Dominator comps. So because of the high power, If there is a Dominator comps, she can power through them. I've seen her in a run in round 2. Go up against a very strong gold ship and 3 Dominators. So they had 2 Dominators on the gold ship side and 1 on the other opponent's side. All 3 of them hit, and because she had just gotten herself such a high lead in the beginning on that run, the Dominators didn't do anything. She just powered right through them. It didn't slow her down enough, and she ended up winning that one still by a decent amount of lengths. And definitely, she is the strongest in terms of getting into first place. But my Ines Fujin has definitely been the one that can win easiest. Which is why I was trying so hard. And I can't even find the one I'm using right now. It's the one... I did have a Turf S Medium S on her with higher power and wit. But that one also had its own problems. Man, I don't even know where it's at now. Got 3 of them in here. Okay, yeah, it's this one. She is survivable. I mean, her biggest thing is, I mean, if it's heavier debuffs, she's a little bit on the lower end, so she can die. But, I mean, if she's in first place, I mean, her ult, we've seen it many times. If that gold ship's not like a firm course menace with Spring Runner and all that, and she's when she does her ult, she can kind of counteract them to an extent. I mean, of course, the strong gold ships are still going to be slowly closing in on her, but usually, if she had a decent enough lead, she can counteract it with her ult. It's very strong. But the negative being that generally my Mihono Bourbon is in front of her. But there's been times where Mihono Bourbon was in front of her. She's right behind her. And because this one does have the opening of Red Shift, she does get acceleration, even though she didn't get angling. And she still gets the ult, of course, and she can pass my Mihono Bourbon. Or if it's somebody else's Mihono Bourbon or whatnot, she can use her ult and that big speed increase to pass another front runner that may have actually stolen angling from her. So she's been pretty good overall, and I think she may have the higher win rate. If we take a look here. Cannot remember. Yep, she did finally surpass the Mihono Bourbon in win rate. Just because she had the stronger ability to actually finish off the races. And so it worked out really well. I mean, the biggest thing, and the one reason I had that disastrous ticket in round 1, I mean, it was very noticeable difference of having the Suzuka there and pushing them up. Not as good of a Suzuka as I'd like as leading, as one to try and pace up the entire lobby, but worked out pretty well, as you can see here. We pretty much got everything I needed here. I mean, ultimately, to make a better one, you'd, of course, want all the hesitates. But we got everything. Just basically, early race, get her out there, and then die. Just get really far out there, and then fall back so that my other frontrunners can pass her and just have that extended lead. It works out a good chunk of the time. The only times, really, there's some times where she just gets caught because she fails taking lead or something. And because of her very low power, if she doesn't get taking the lead in groundwork, then she's just barely getting out of the gate. And sometimes she's just super strong for some reason and stays way in the lead and blocks my Umas. Whereas Ines Fujin can come in handy. If Ines Fujin is blocked by her, it's not that big of a deal. She gets Red Shift, she still gets acceleration, and then her ult can kind of carry her to the win. Mihono Bourbon struggles a little bit more, even though she gets Red Shift, because she doesn't have any extra speed at the very end, other than if she gets homestretch haste early to kind of help her fight off all the backliners trying to catch up. But overall, I feel like I did all right for definitely not going the meta route. This is, I feel like you can, I mean, they weren't as strong as I like. If I had really god tier frontrunners, I think they would have done a lot better still. But it definitely, truly just watching, not just my runs, but other people's runs, it was a gold ship slash just backliners in general CM. And Dominators, we've seen it coming. If you went with the double Dom comp with like a very strong gold ship, you could have a very, very high win rate on this one. Very consistent. One of the things being, if you use 2 Dominators, they're going to be behind your gold ship or whatever your other Uma is. It's a backliner that already gives them 2 places closer to hitting that 6th/5th place, so that they can get all the excel and pop off. And yeah, I kind of wish I would have went that route now. That's kind of the big thing. Then again, I hated running end closers. I tried to build a gold ship that I could not get anything. And I mean, it was absolute trash that I got here. Couldn't get one. End closers feel so bad to run in Trackblazer, but luckily, they'll be good. The next one, the Mile one, they are going to be good, especially Narita Taishin Guts build. But I feel like at least front runners will still be pretty strong. That's why my comp is going to be 2 front runners, 1 end closer on the next one. But yeah, this is one reason though I like to go with the meta options, because it's already hard enough for me to get the luck to make the meta Umas as strong as I'd like them. I could not imagine trying to have like a favorite Uma that I try and make work in things that they're not naturally good at. But who knows, maybe I might do that in the future, especially since I do have the platinum titles for the next 9 CMs, I believe. I have all the platinum titles all the way up to Pisces, which Pisces was the other one that I lost. So maybe I might change it up, because yeah, it'll be nice to get the little star on the platinum, but it ultimately doesn't change much, because it's not like a new title in the sense. It just upgrades the current title you have. So maybe I might try some uniqueness in some of these. We'll just have to see how I feel about those ones. But that's going to be it for now on my retrospective for Taurus Cup. And I'll see you guys in the finals. But if you like my content, if you could like, comment, subscribe, it really helps. And thanks for watching.